This is Football Night in America, built by Lowe's.
Time for the Football Night in America podcast. Welcome in Maria Taylor alongside Mattheww Berry, Mike Florio, Devin McCourty, Jason Garrett here with you. And as always, we're presented by Lowe's, and we're breaking down everything that we saw in Week 12. I can't believe we're in Week 12. Seriously. A couple days away from Thanksgiving, and the Chiefs got an early Thanksgiving dish. It was a win in overtime against the Colts. They were down 20-9 in the fourth quarter. What was your takeaway from the way that they pulled off this one?
It was a must-win have. I mean, a must-have win for Kansas City. Look, really impressive here. One of the things they did well in this game that they haven't really done well all year is they ran the ball. Kareem Hunt, 30 for over 100 yards. He gets the touchdown here. And they also made some adjustments in game. I think you can make an argument with Ward, with Kenny Moore, with now that they have Sauce Gardner, that the Colts have the best secondary in the NFL. And during the first half of that game, they shut him down. Sauce was all over Rice, and they weren't getting anything going. But then they started moving them in motion, started getting them going, and especially in the fourth quarter and in overtime, they started to make plays. And Mahomes did what Mahomes does. They outgained in the fourth quarter 236 yards to 18. You see it right there on your screen. 13 first downs to 0 first downs. A bunch of 3-and-outs for the Colts.
And we're so used to seeing the Chiefs find ways to win. Patrick Mahomes talked recently about how, hey, we used to win these games, now we're not. We're not making the plays necessary. Well, what are you going to do differently? And we saw that vibe come back to Mahomes today, and Rashee Rice making the big plays when they were needed, even though he was out there with that hamstring injury. So, yeah, they were going to be not technically done, but they fall to 5-6. They got a major problem. They still got a major problem. They still may not make the playoffs. I mean, it's astounding to think the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, possibly all three, won't make the playoffs. Now, I think at least one of them will, but the Chiefs could be on the outside looking in when it's all said and done, even though they won today. If they had lost today, it would be a lot more likely they'd be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and it was a big game for both teams. I felt like the Colts were in position to say, let's prove we belong, not to everybody else, but, even to ourselves. And the way they started this game, I think Shane Steichen has talked about, we have no problem passing to set up the run. But the run never got going for them. Jonathan Taylor didn't get anything going. I think you always talk about it, the burden on the quarterback. And then it became, in that second half of Daniel Jones, he had to make every single play. And then for Mahomes, once they were getting that man-to-man coverage you talked about with Indy, feeling confident with Ward being back, Andy Reid was dialing up. It was all crossers. It was friction. It was chasing guys all the way across the field. And Mahomes found those guys, and maybe one of his best games throwing the ball this season so far.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a huge win for the Chiefs against arguably the best team in the AFC. I mean, they've been as good as anybody all year long. And to me, it was a great team win. They got down early. Daniel Jones, very efficient in the passing game early, but Indianapolis could not get that running game going because it was a commitment by Kansas City to stop the run. We're not going to let Jonathan Taylor beat us. But then on the other side, Kansas City's offense, they played into it as well. You mentioned the runs. 30 for 104 is not necessarily great. Yeah. When you're calling plays, you say, let's keep giving it to them. Well, we're only making 2 or 3. Andy was so patient throughout the game. They had the ball for over 40 minutes. I know they went into overtime, but they kept the ball away from Indianapolis on offense, limiting Taylor's opportunities. Indianapolis had 10 first downs in this game, the 4 3-and-outs that we talked about down the stretch. So I love what they did on defense, and I love what they did on offense to help the defense against that potent Indianapolis attack.
To your point, Coach, Kansas City time possession, 42-35, just 25 minutes that the Colts held the ball as well. Colts also had 11 penalties, 11 for 83 yards. It didn't feel like the Colts were ready for prime time. Like this is a prove-it game, right? They other than the Denver win, they don't really have a signature win this year. They've beaten up on a bunch of bad teams.
They were up early in this game.
Yes, they were.
I mean, Kansas City had their backs to the wall midway through the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. So I felt like they were ready.
Yeah, but then you got to close it out, right? That's what these kind of games are like.
And I do think Kansas City walks away and they say, maybe this is our style this year. Usually we've watched games where they're running the ball well, but then ultimately you walk away like, we only ran the ball 20 times. They ran the ball 37 times today. That's not normal for the Chiefs. So,
but let's not forget what you said earlier. Mahomes to Rice at the end of the game. They were freaking missiles that he was throwing.
It was magic.
A lot of big plays.
And we thought the Colts are going to run away with the division. All of a sudden, they're going to wake up and they're going to say, we're one game ahead of the Jaguars, 2 games ahead of the Texans, and they've got both of those teams twice, and the 49ers and the Seahawks to finish the season. Like, all of a sudden, it's not quite panic, but it's like, this was supposed to be easy. It's not going to be easy.
And I mean, they're home, to your point, Mike, home to Houston, at Jacksonville, at Seattle are their next 3 games. I think they need to go 2-1 in those games, and I'm not convinced they can. Texans, that's a big game next week. Colts, Texans.
Yep, Texans coming off a big win against the Bills. All right, let's go to another game that was kind of like the tale of 2 halves. It was the Eagles taking on the Cowboys. Eagles led it 21-0. And then it was about the Cowboys kind of battling back. We heard Shoddy in the locker room. Can you spot them 21? Do you win a game in the first quarter, second, third? You win it in the fourth. And that's exactly what the Cowboys were able to do. What was your takeaway from what they did to get back in and win the game?
It was just amazing because these aren't the kinds of games the Cowboys win. It's get a lead and just let it all snowball. And once they're down 21-0, it's like, what are they going to do here? They can't get the offense going. They can't stop the Eagles. But, and I think a lot of this comes from, Cris and I talk about this from time to time, the Madden generation. It's not 21-0, it's 3-0. We need 1 score, make a stop, another score, we got a new game. Forget about 21 points. It's 3-0. And I think that mentality has kind of crept into the game now, that let's just start with 1. We start with 1, and they got 1 before the half, and that gives you a different vibe going into the second half.
Yeah, and I think sometimes in football games, when you get 21 as fast as the Eagles did, you don't really get to see your game plans work for both teams. It's just the plays happen so fast that you get to the sideline and you're like, hey, man, like, we're 2 steps late here. This guy's in the wrong place here. We haven't even tried to execute our game plan. I think Dallas was like, hey, hold on. Let's slow down. To what you just said, let's just get 1 stop. Let's kind of put these things together. The Eagles, I think it was like 2-3 plays, and they were right down the field scoring. So I think Dallas ultimately had the better game plan. I think some of the injuries that the Eagles got with Blankenship going out, Adoree Jackson going out, now that moves people around. Cooper DeJean going outside. I know the Eagles said they like Cooper DeJean inside or outside. When you watch, he's just a great fit inside in that nickel spot. Outside, they got taken advantage a little bit. Dallas continued to attack. And the biggest question mark, again, is back to the Eagles' offense. Every game we've watched them so far this year, it's like we see some good, then we see a lot of bad. Then we see some good, and it was like, but they have talent. They got to really figure this out because this is a game they should have won.
No doubt. Let's start with the quarterback. Prescott, I thought, was unbelievable. He's the leader of that team. He brings them with him. He makes the plays. He keeps everybody calm, poised, all of that. I think the Cowboys, in a funny kind of way, match up well with the Eagles. The Cowboys have great receivers outside, Pickens and CD. They're hard matchups for people. If you look at a deficiency in Philadelphia, it's the cover guys on the back end. We talked about it. Even before Adoree goes out, that's a matchup they're exploiting. Now Cooper goes outside, exploit that matchup. And I was concerned about the Cowboys blocking Philly's front, but when the receivers are open, the ball can come out that much more quickly. And Dak was able to do that once they got going. And on the other side of it, Philadelphia, to me, so aggressive early, got A.J. involved. There's a lot of energy, celebrations in the end zone. And then they just kind of, I don't know if they kept attacking when they're up 3 scores. You have to keep the pedal down, throwing the ball outside, but also trying to get that run game going. I do think Jalen Hurts needs to run the ball more. It's going to help him.
And I have to give Coach Garrett credit on one thing, and I've told you about this. I've been talking about it a lot. The morning that the Cowboys traded for George Pickens, because they know how to time things. They get it out there in the morning, so they'll take over the whole day. So we tracked Coach Garrett down. We woke him up. He was sound asleep. We got him on PFT Live, and he said—
He's saying he was lazy, he was sleeping.
No, he'd been up for like 3 hours. But we got him on the show, and he said the difference for George Pickens is going to be the quarterback. He's never had a quarterback like Dak Prescott in all aspects, the talent, the leadership, everything. And the Pickens story is just stunning, the reversal we've seen from what he was in Pittsburgh to what he is. Now you got Jerry Jones talking about giving him a long-term contract before the end of the season. So you saw that coming from the moment that trade was made.
The quarterback's a rare guy. He's relational. He gets to know these guys and creates a great environment for them, especially at that receiver position.
So much of this story of the Eagles this year has been about the involvement or lack thereof of A.J. Brown. It just sort of feels like even when they win, they're talking about why aren't they getting A.J. Brown the ball? And you talked about this, Coach. For early on, Eagles, they're getting him involved. 5 for 67. A.J. Brown in the first quarter goes 5 for 67, doesn't have another catch until the fourth quarter. And they just started to make the Eagles, I thought, credit to Dallas, who hung in there and just kept chipping away. But the Eagles started making mistakes that we just don't normally see this team make, right? 14 penalties for over 96 yards. Saquon has the fumble. Gibson with the muff on the punt return, right? Hurts took a brutal sack, right, when they're driving down as well. And those are all things that we don't typically see Philadelphia do to sort of beat themselves. I wouldn't want to be in Philadelphia for Sports Talk Radio if I was an Eagle this week. But one thing I do want to say about the Cowboys, because so much is going to be made about Dak and the kind of game that Pickens had, and obviously Lamb and the entire offense. But credit this Dallas Cowboys defense. Since Quinnen Williams got traded, I think there was an underrated trade that happened at the deadline. Saquon Barkley had 22 yards rushing in this game. He averaged 2.2 yards per carry. I mean, the last couple of games with Williams there, that run defense has really stabilized for Dallas. And earlier in the year, it was just like, oh, the Cowboys. But the Cowboys defense has started to show up.
Well, and just to add, it's Quentin Williams, but then they traded for Logan Wilson.
Yep.
Hooker came back in the secondary, and then Overshawn came back at linebacker. They got their starters back in there, and I think that's been a big difference for this Cowboys defense as well.
Just getting more healthy.
Yeah.
I want to shift us to the NFC North. We saw the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears all get wins this week. So now, who is your leader in the clubhouse, I guess, to take the division?
Still think it's the Lions. I just think they're the best team. I get it was kind of an ugly win against the Giants. They had to come back, but they don't have any more games outdoors. They're in good weather the rest of the way. I still think top to bottom they have the most talent in the division. The Packers and the Bears will be nipping at their heels, but if you're asking me who wins the division, I still say it's the Detroit Lions.
Well, the concern is, and you've been making this point, what the Vikings did, putting the pressure up the middle against Jared Goff and getting him off the spot, that's given everyone the blueprint, and we see every team doing it now. At what point are we going to believe in the Bears? Yeah, the competition hasn't been great, but the Steelers, it felt like one of those games today that this is a game the Steelers win. They get the touchdown on the crazy play where T.J. Watt pulls Caleb Williams down in the end zone and he fumbles the football. It just felt like a game the Steelers were destined to win, and the Bears defied it. It's a huge game on Friday when the Bears go to Philadelphia. The Bears can really prove that they belong if they can win on Black Friday.
Yeah, and what I love, we just had that all three of these teams, the schedule's not easy.
No.
They have some tough games in front of them. In the beginning of the year, I picked the Bears. I thought the Bears were going to be a sleeper team that can go and possibly win this division, so I'm going to stick to that. I think they have more confidence now. I think they understand defensively we got to be tough, but the main thing we got to do is we got to take the ball away. They lead the league. How can you now do that against the better teams in this league, against the Eagles, against the Lions when you play them? They're going to have to prove and do that, but I think the Bears are building something that they have a lot of confidence in.
Yeah, I picked the Bears in the beginning of the year too, Dev. No. To me, they're one of the best stories. They really are. And Ben Johnson proven he's a really good football coach. And, you know, what I like about that part of the story is he was kind of the offensive guru. And he's certainly done good things with their offense. Caleb Williams playing with confidence.
Now hit us with your butt. Hit us with your butt.
He's playing like a different guy. But what I like more about it is he's being a head coach, right? The defense is playing well. They're taking the ball away. All those big things that help you win games. It's not like, hey, I'm the offensive coordinator / head coach. I'm the head ball coach. And, oh, by the way, I call the plays on offense. And I think you see that throughout their team. Green Bay has been a little up and down, little inconsistent. I still think they got a lot to that team. I think they can have a dominant defense. And when that quarterback gets going, he can be as streaky as anybody in the league. I do think Detroit, though, is still the team to beat. But what's interesting, when we look at those schedules, they're all playing each other here the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff's going to be found out on the field.
All right, guys, it's time to earn your Sunday presented by Lowe's, and then it's time for our speed round. And this is all about us tracking history as we go through the season. So here's one that we're tracking. Myles Garrett being 5 sacks away from a record with 6 games to go. What is it? Myles Garrett 5 sacks away from, I don't even know what the record is.
Well,
I think it's 22 and a half.
Straight hand.
22 and a half.
Straight hand.
And TJ
Straight
Watt.
hand, and I think he gets there. He's on a mission. He's been unbelievable. Garrett's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he gets the sack record.
And it's amazing how bad the Browns have been, and he continues to stand out. Now, they got the win today, but it was the Raiders. We'll see what they do going forward. But what?
Shador.
Well, yeah.
Everything changes.
Well, we'll see. We'll see against the 49ers. it may be a little harder against the 49ers. But Myles Garrett's been incredible. And I go back to Super Bowl week when all of a sudden Garrett wants out and, I want to go win, and they throw enough money at him, and what? Oh, I'm fine here. Imagine him on a contender. Imagine what he could have done if he had landed with a great team this year.
Well, we don't got to imagine too much because now he's going to break the sack record, get money, everyone's going to be happy. Shador said this was only off a week. So normally when we talk about the Browns, this is all we talk about. What did Myles Garrett do? Shador said they found their guy. So the next time we talk about Myles Garrett, we'll be talking about the playoffs and their starting quarterback, Shador Sanders.
I agree. Shador did a heck of a job. He really did. That whole team rallied around him. But that Myles Garrett, he's a different guy.
Yeah.
And we've been around a lot of players throughout our years, and there are some guys that are just different. You walk out on the practice field, he looks different. The game starts, and this guy is that guy, and he's been that guy from day one. The record is 22.5.
There we go.
Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt had it. I was playing for the Giants when Strahan got it, and Brett Favre took a little dive. There's no doubt that Myles Garrett is gonna obliterate this record. He's on a mission. It's hard to get 3 sacks in a game, and he's like calling his shots. They can't block him.
All right, what about JSN? He needs 652 receiving yards for the NFL record. He'll break Calvin Johnson's.
And he's going to get it. I mean, he's just on an absolute heater. It's unbelievable. Give a lot of credit to Clint Kubiak. So much people are talking about Jaxon Smith-Njigba, rightfully so, because he's having such an unbelievable year. But what Kubiak has done with Sam Darnold, who's playing unbelievable this year, the connection between those two, they're all new pieces, right? Kubiak's first year there, Darnold's first year there, and they're connecting with JSN. It's his first year as sort of the main guy as the number 1 wide receiver. It's an unbelievable story for that Seattle offense, and I think he gets it. I think he gets to 2,000 yards.
I think so, too, and you said it about Myles Garrett. He looks different. JSN looks different, not in a good way. It doesn't stand out. He's not big, right? He doesn't look like he's a blazer, but he gets open, he gets the ball in his hands, and he's unstoppable, and he can track the ball. He can do everything, and he doesn't look like a guy. He's not the big, tall Calvin Johnson Megatron type, but he just produces.
He blows my mind every week because when you watch Seattle play, like you look at the box score, it's Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and then like the next guy's like 40 yards. And as a former defensive back, I'm like, double team him, triple, like make someone else beat you. So like they've done this now for 12 weeks. I think he gets it as well.
Yeah, what's amazing to me about him, he's in his 2nd year, and I've been to practice, I've watched him play a lot. He is so mature. I've said this, and to me, this is almost as high a compliment as you can give. He reminds me of Marvin Harrison Sr. These guys who have such command of their game, releasing, route running, getting away from the guy at the top of the route, catching the ball on the run, all different kinds of routes. He's just so mature. And when you talk to him, he's a young kid. He's really young, but he's such a student of the game, and it shows up every week. I do think if you're defending them, take him away. But teams have not been able to do that, and a real credit to them.
All right, guys, Chicago's never had a 4,000-yard passer. Caleb Williams is at 2,568. Can he do it?
Yeah, he's on pace for a little over 3,900, but I'm going to say no. I don't think he gets there. Not a hater, Chicago, and Caleb's had a great year, but as the weather gets colder in Chicago, and we've seen that schedule, it gets a lot tougher. I think they're going to go more run heavy, which is what Ben Johnson wants to do. Think about how he called the plays in Detroit. They want to run the ball and play good defense, which is what they're doing. Their defense is really good, so I just don't see them getting into a bunch of shootouts. So I think it's a great year for Caleb, but I don't think he gets to 4,000 yards.
Yeah, he was ahead of the rate for a while. He's slipping some now, but you're right. The weather's going to be a factor, and their focus is just win football games. He can throw for 4,000 next year. Just get to the playoffs. That should be their focus, and it looks like they're going to get there.
Let Caleb cook. I think he gets it. And I agree what you guys are saying, but I do think when you start to play the Bears going down the stretch, these teams are going to say, we're not letting you run the ball. We're going to put everybody in the box. Caleb, go beat us. And I think we saw a little bit today. He was on rhythm, hitting his back foot. The ball was out. I think the more he starts doing that, I think these bigger passing games are going to happen for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And if you watch him from week 1 to playing on Sunday, this is a different quarterback. Yep. So confident, so poised, really good in situational football, not always trying to make the spectacular play. He throws the ball away. When he gets a chance to go run, he goes ahead and does it. So I just think his command has improved dramatically. I do think teams are going to say, make Caleb beat us, and I think he's going to be up to the task. I really like their team.
All right, well, we really like spending time with you. We've got 2 games this week. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving. We've got the Bengals at the Ravens, and then Sunday Night Football for Week 13. We got the Commanders and the Broncos. Hope you join us for Football Night in America at 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.